Let's go to the NFC East, to the Dallas Cowboys, right? Jerry Jones's Dallas Cowboys, the best pick for me. I love Tyler Booker. I think he is a day one starter. I think he has an opportunity to be a Pro Bowl as a rookie. And one thing I won't question with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, anytime they draft an interior O-lineman, they usually hit on those said guys. They do a great job in identifying talent in those areas of their offensive line. But for me, the best pick is Suvon Revo Jr. And the reason why is because he was a first-round talent. He tore his ACL in September. So because of that injury, it kind of knocked him to the third round. But if he's able to be 100% healthy, and that's what we're hearing, they have no concerns with his injuries, you will get a day one starter in your secondary. The guy that has a higher upside to a Tariq Woolen, who he reminds me of because of his measurables. He might not be as fast as Tariq Woolen, but he has more instincts. And I love his willingness to tackle and just be disruptive. So he was the best pick for me, Suvon Revel Jr. from East Carolina. The most head-scratching decision. It wasn't about a pick, guys. It was about a decision or the lack thereof. They didn't address the wide receiver room at all. Now we're hearing that they entertained or they called the Pittsburgh Steelers to see exactly what was going on with George Pickens. They were being a bit cheap. So Pittsburgh did not entertain that phone call. So clearly they were trying to improve the wide receiver room during the weekend of the draft. So if you were actually trying to see what you could do to potentially trade for a player, you knew that was a need. Ask me how many wide receivers did they draft? 0. So we know who CD Lamb is. But outside
Jonathan
of CD
Mingo,
Lamb,
baby.
they got Jalen Turbert and they got Robert Turpin, right? Those are the other two wide receivers. So if you're in
Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo, baby. They traded for him.
I said, again. I heard you the first time. But all I'm saying is this. If you actually work the phones, guys, to see what you could do, what it would cost to go get a wide receiver who is proven, clearly you knew that was a need for your team. And you did nothing to improve that concern. That's the biggest head-scratching decision for me with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I like the draft picks they got, but I'm 100% with you. They did not really add weapons to an offense that desperately
like playmakers.
I like the Miami Dolphins next. Their best pick is also their most head-scratching decision. Jonas Savvy-Naya, I love. I think he's perfect fit for that offense. Plug-and-play left guard. That's where you're playing him. I think he's tailor-made to be a Mike McDaniel guard. Just like he's agile, he can move, but he's also bigger dude that's going to be a plus pass protector at some point in time. Great pick. But you gave up a third rounder to do it. And you didn't exactly have draft capital. And you don't exactly have a great roster. We were talking like after the draft when I was up in Stanford, we're like, no one's really bottoming out. There's no one who's really cut bait on this year and looks like they're going to be terrible. So there's no like clear-cut favorite to draft number one overall. But it would not surprise me if the Miami Dolphins are the team that just takes a beating this year because of what that defense currently looks like. The fact that Tua Tagovailoa is one small breath away from missing the football field. Like he gets injured every year, even if it's not concussion issues. The guy has a lengthy track record of injuries right now. So an injury to Tua, I think things could go really south for this team, unfortunately. And I just don't think this draft did anything to change anything. Like it's not even like a long-term forward-thinking draft outside of the, getting back a future pick. Because I don't know if and then Kenneth Grant at 13, you can argue the value all you want or whatever. I had him a lot lower on my board, but this, you have to admit, was an elite draft for nose tackles. Kenneth Grant's a good nose tackle, sure, but it was a great draft that you could get nose tackles anywhere. And they literally got one in the 5th in Jordan Phillips. Their next pick after Jonas Savvy-Naya was one of them.
They drafted 3 defensive tackles, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
And Biggers in the 7th.
They needed it, right? They did need it.
They did.
But
just roster alone, B-Mac, they needed it.
Yeah.
I know, but to Mike's point, your offensive line has really been revamped, unfortunately. And if you don't protect your quarterback, and he's a bit fragile when it comes to injuries,
Well, I think that's why they were so aggressive with Savaniga. To Mike's point, I think he's going to be a day one starter, and he was a guy that played right tackle, but he'll make the transition to guard. I think they're trying to find that Robert Hunt because they underestimated what his
They
value
shouldn't
was
allow
to
him
the
to walk.
team, and they left him.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think Patrick Paul is going to be a good player. They drafted him last year in the second round, and then Austin Jackson has actually been steady Eddie at right tackle. Now his issue has been health; he can't stay healthy, and they hit a home run with Aaron Brewer at center. So the offensive line isn't as crazy as people actually make it out to be. Depth is the issue when it comes to the offensive line.
And pretty much everywhere. They are not deep right now. And that's why I question, trading up, trading away picks. And then also just it felt like they had needs and they're like, this is a draft where I have to address these needs instead of just going at the board and saying, there's better players available. Let's take the better players.
Yeah, I'm next on the board with Indianapolis Colts. I don't even think this is up for debate. Tyler Warren, their best pick. Kind of reminds me of a guy they had years ago in Dallas, Clark, right? And they get his skill set. He can line up anywhere on the field, in the backfield, at quarterback. Shoot, they lined him up at center, B-Mac versus USC, and he caught a pass down the seam for a touchdown. So the boy can throw the ball, he can run the ball, he can do it all. I just think whoever ends up starting, whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, they'll have a weapon in Tyler Warren that they can really lean on. And he's going to help in the run game with Jonathan Taylor as well. Head scratching to me was Justin Wally in the third round. And I say that, and I made this point earlier with Jacksonville. You took him in the third round. I'm fine with that, but they literally have probably the best slot corner in all of football in Kenny Moore. Mm-hmm. And they needed more of a bigger body corner to go outside. Now, Wally can play outside, but I think his best position is the slot. So to me, are you going to?
He's playing outside. They've already made it known that that's what he's going to play. And he played predominantly
outside. That's what I'm saying.
Outside.
His best position's inside. I don't think his best position is outside. So that's why I said it's a kind of a head scratcher to me, because to me, he was a slot from day one, right? Watching his film at Minnesota. Again, he's a hell of a competitor, and I know he'll compete on the outside. But to me, his best position is inside in the slot. So I thought, again, we won't know until he's out there, but I think he's best suited at the next level in the slot, and we'll see how he plays on the outside.
Okay, I am up next. I have the Atlanta Falcons. Jalen Walker clearly is the best pick, versatile Micah Parsons type. But for me, the best value pick out of their draft is Xavier Watts, getting him in the third round. And the reason why I think that's the best value, when you turn on his tape, me personally, I feel like he was a second round type talent. Now, the thing about Xavier, he's a former wide receiver. He made the transition in college to the secondary position, to the safety spot, and he really excelled. And I was overly surprised to see how physical he is, knowing that he never played in the secondary consistently until he got to Notre Dame. 13 career interceptions. He doesn't turn down any tackles. He's a physical guy. He gets guys to the ground, and you can tell he really knows the game, the instincts. So being able to put him into that secondary and safety clearly was a need for the Atlanta Falcons, and getting him in the third round, guys, I really love that value because he's a pure football player. Now, that most head-scratching decision, not necessarily a pick, but decision for me, Atlanta trading back up into the first round. And the haul, they gave Les Snead in the rank. I understand. We've talked every year, it seems like, with Atlanta, the inability to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks and sack quarterbacks. It's been an issue. You addressed that concern with Jalen Walker. You felt like you needed to double up. Okay, cool. That's great. But this was a very, very deep edge rushing class, in my opinion. I mean, heck, I understand Mike Green has some off the field concerns, but he fell to the second round to the Baltimore Ravens. So you gave up premium picks. You gave up a 2025 second round pick, which was number 46. You gave up a 2025 seventh round pick. Of course, that's a developmental type of pick. But then you went back and gave up a 2026 first rounder. Who would say no to that? And you're not drafting a quarterback. You didn't trade up to go get a franchise quarterback because you already had that guy in place. You traded up to go get a guy who many people felt was already starting to slip because of some off the field concerns as well. At at 26. So that's the most head scratching thing for me is the decision, because that was a need, guys. But like I said, look how deep this edge rushing class was. And it's almost like if you stay put, you still can go get a guy who could have been James Pierce or someone just like James Pierce in terms of production, and you wouldn't have missed the beat. And you wouldn't have gave up next year's first round. And we don't know what that pick might look like because we don't know how well you might be this season.
It's, you know what it is. I mean, it's Terry Fontenot saying, I need to make the playoffs or I'm out, probably.
Or I'm out of here.
Made the playoffs. 4 years as GM, they haven't made the playoffs once. So I do think that's what it is. It's the GM on the hot seat. So